Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So pretty much how these true crime case videos will work, you'll see this pop on your screen most of the time, and you'll see occasionally a few pictures pop up, and mostly it will be just this screen. So feel free to open a new tab, go on Reddit or research something, and just listen to the case. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking at another true crime case, this time involving Albert Fish. So let's get started. Albert Fish was first known as Frank Howard. He responded to an ad looking for work placed in a newspaper by Edward Budd. Edward Budd was an 18-year-old boy determined to make something of himself. Frank Howard arrived at Budd's doorstep with a job offer. He stated that he would like to have Budd come work with him on his farm, telling the story of his 6 children and how his wife had left him. Edward was looking forward to having a job and providing for his family, and Howard even offered a job to Budd's friend Willie. However, Howard planned to come pick them up a few days later to take them back to his farm to begin work. When Howard didn't show up and provided a handwritten note explaining that he would be in touch in a few days, he came over to visit the following morning, and the family invited him to stay for lunch. During his visit, Howard spotted Bud's younger sister, Gracie. Explaining that he had to attend a birthday party before he could take the boys on the farm, he asked if Gracie would like to join them. With his gracious attitude and friendly nature, the Buds gave Gracie permission to attend the party. That evening, Howard did not return with Gracie, and both of them vanished. The family reported her disappearance to the local police, and an investigation began. No leads were ever discovered, partly because Frank Howard didn't exist. The name was made up. The Budd's family received a letter with a description of the mutilation and murder of little Gracie. The note matched the handwriting from the original note sent from earlier. During the time of the investigation, before the letter was even received, another child vanished. Billy Gaffney, a 4-year-old boy playing with his neighbor, who also was named Billy, disappeared, and the 3-year-old Billy stated that the boogeyman took Billy Gaffney. The police didn't take the statement to the heart and instead ignored it. Shortly after the disappearance of Billy Gaffney, another little boy disappeared. 8-year-old Francis McDonnell was playing on a porch with his mother when a grey-haired frail old man, walked down the street muttering to himself. The mother noticed his awkward demeanor but didn't report anything. Later that day, while Francis was playing in the park, his friends noticed that he walked into the woods with an elderly grey-haired man. When his family noticed that the boy was missing, they organized a search. Francis was found under some branches in the woods, badly beaten and strangled with his suspenders. At this point, police started to notice the pattern. The manhunt for the grey-haired man began, but despite many efforts, he vanished. The letter that was received by the Budd's family was investigated and found to contain an emblem of the New York Private Chauffeurs Association. All the members were required to obtain handwriting tests for comparisons to the letter from Howard. A janitor came forward to admit that he had taken some sheets of paper and left them in his old rooming house. The landlady was able to confirm that an old man matching the description had lived there for 2 months and had only checked out a few days ago. The former tenant was identified as Albert H. Fish. The landlady also mentioned that he wanted her to hold the letter that would be arriving from his son. Detectives intercepted the letter at the post office and were contacted by the landlady that would be coming to get his letter. The lead detective was able to capture Mr. Fish. Many confessions and testimonies were heard by the law enforcement and psychiatrists. Mr. Fish described how he wanted to lure Edward Budd and his friend Willie to his farm to kill them. However, once he laid eyes on Gracie, he changed his mind and desperately wanted to kill her. He took Gracie to the train station and purchased a one-way ticket for her. After the ride to the countryside, he took her to the house. While in the house, he told Gracie to wait outside and she picked flowers. He went up to the 2nd floor of the house and removed all of his clothes. When he called for Gracie to come upstairs, she was frightened by him and called out for her mother. Mr. Fish choked her to death. Following her death, he decapitated her and cut up her body. He took parts with him when he left, wrapped in a newspaper. Police were able to locate the remains of Gracie based on his confession. Albert Fish had many run-ins with the police in his lifetime. However, each time charges were dismissed, He discussed the details of the murder of Billy Gaffney, describing how he tied him up and beat him. He even admitted to drinking his blood and making a stew out of his body parts. His attitude was not like those people with psychosis. He was calm and reserved, which was out of the ordinary. He confessed that he wanted to inflict pain and have pain inflicted on him. He taunted and preyed on children, mostly boys. He also had a compulsion to write and send obscene letters. An X-ray determined that he placed needles into the region between his anus and scrotum, and at least 29 needles were discovered. In trial, the defense argued that he was legally insane, and they used many descriptions and testimonies to prove to the jury that he was mentally ill. However, the jury didn't believe this. He was considered to be a psychopathic personality without psychosis, and he was later found guilty after 10 days of trial. While awaiting his fate behind bars in Sing Sing prison in New York, Fish was permitted to write a series of notes regarding his crimes. These would help reporters covering the gruesome case more properly detail his crimes, with first-hand account sure to entice readers. While it's generally believed he killed anywhere between 3 and 9 victims, Fish himself had another figure in mind. His chilling claim that he had a child in every state remains to be unconfirmed. Meanwhile, the man's detailed recollections from prison have never been released. Before his execution on January 16, 1936, Albert Fish's attorney, Jack Dempsey, refused to share his client's notes. Only took one glance at them to determine that Fish had described was too gruesome and too horrifying for public consumption. "I will never show it to anyone," he said. "It was the most filthy string of obscenities I have ever read." And that pretty much ends the story of Albert Fish. Yes, it's very gruesome and it's terrifying and it's horrifying and it's disgusting. That's all the info I could find during the research of this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next time for another true crime case, and I will see you then.